Hello and good evening. Welcome back to the Diamond Drive Cup Round 4 here at Barcelona. I'm Jesse Lee. I've got Nate with me on comms again tonight, and Stewie bringing you all of the angles in the broadcast booth. Welcome back to the Diamond Drive Cup. We are at Barcelona and we are over the hump, the final three races of the season, and it all starts here today at Barcelona. And Nate, we have a championship battle on our hands between Bokita and Rose. It's 20 points now, but the way that things have been going, it's been all Bokita so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember at the start of the season, we had a quick chat with some of the drivers. I remember Rose being pretty confident that she could run away with every race in the championship. She won the first one, and that's where the confidence was founded. And then the second two, she got taken out at Kailami, and then she had an incident in Imola. I had to think about that then. So it's actually turned out that she's lost, or not technically lost, but come in a position lower than first more often than she's finished first as it stands so far. So hopefully she'll be looking to rectify that today, to get back on. I say back on the board. She's already there, but to start clawing away at the deficit. But hopefully Bokita won't go silently into the night, and we'll see an excellent battle between the two of them.
Well, as the cars and drivers for Pro and Silver get up to speed for the qualifying session, just continuing the point Nate is making that right now Rose still has a 20-point lead on Bokita, despite the fact that Felipe Bokita has won three in a row, or excuse me, two in a row, I should say. It didn't really matter at Kailami 2 weeks ago. They ended up level on points despite the fact that Rose was spun. That is, of course, because Rose took the pole and the fastest lap. Even though Bokita won, they still ended up with the same amount of points, so no points gained there. And even last week, where Bokita won the race and was on pole, well, Rose had the fastest lap, which is worth points. So they only gained a minimal amount on the championship leader, Rose, who is pictured here. The John Lacey Esports Academy, Aston Martin, will come around the chicane here and start their first flying lap. And why we have this time, Nate, oh man, I think it's important to mention that this track is inhospitable to newcomers.
Yeah, it's mainly the final sector. I mean, it's just so. It's a technical part. The rest of the track is fairly simple, straightforward, but the last sector is quite technical, and you can lose a ton of time, especially if you bounce over the curbs at the final chicane. You can even find yourself pointing backwards if you take too much of the curb. But like you said, it's gonna be interesting to see who makes the most of other people's mistakes, to see who can keep their nose clean, keep out of trouble, especially leading into turn one. We saw it last week, the massive incident, the massive accident we saw at turn one in Imola. It's a longer run this time, so we'll have to see who can keep the nose clean and, like I said, capitalize on the mistakes made by everyone around them.
Yes, indeed. The first timed lap coming up here as we ride in the in-car cam. We'll do a lap around this joint at some point. Barcelona does not need any introduction. It's not one of my favorite tracks, if I'm completely honest, and I'm not quite sure. Normally, I quite love these fast-flowing, sweeping corners, but for some reason, me and Barcelona just have never gotten along, and I shall present you Exhibit A, the final chicane. I very much prefer the bike course, and as a MotoGP track, this place is absolutely excellent. Rose is likely going to set our first benchmark and does at a 42.876. That is the time to beat early. What will happen, we'll have to find out. And immediately, Felipe Bokita goes quicker, a 42.762. As more times coming in, Gobi slots into third in pro. And the first AM time from Kamugli comes in at nearly 2 seconds slower. Dove comes in as well. Schmidt bumps Gobi off the provisional podium for the top class. Kamugli holds on to silver pole over Vandenberg and Erwin early in this session, as all the times now coming in here on the first lap. I don't think a 42.762 is going to be safe. I feel like there's more work to do. Here is your provisional pole sitter, Bokita. I love the team name. The It's Okay to Not Be Okay 326 McLaren has been doing damage. Got the win at Kyalami, despite the fact that they were running several seconds off the pace. An incident with Rose and a back marker let Bokita come through and win the race. Said after the race that I'll take it, but I didn't deserve it. I was the second place car. Very respectful indeed. But last week, a duel between two titans here, the two front runners in the pro category. And that left Bokita with the win after contact between Rose and Bokita in the chicane at Imola. No improvement that lap. That lap was considerably slower, off the pace by more than half of a second for the 326. Rose has improved about a half of a tenth now off the pole position. So you may be wondering why Nicole, I think that's Nicole Fox.
Yep.
And Carl and April Karlsvard are on the track, even though they appear to be AM drivers. Well, I can tell you at the halfway point in the season, they have been bumped up into the silver class based on performance and speed, Nate. They've been bumped up, and now they will be competing in the silver class for the second half of the season. The reason their placard is still amateur is because there's no good way for us to adjust that mid-season. So if you're playing along at home and have your scorecard out, the 202 and the 69 are actually silver drivers. And if you squint really hard, the red placard turns into a silver placard. And I know somebody out there at RCI TV land just actually attempted to do that. Don't actually do that. You'll strain your eyesight. Felipe Bokita coming across the line again and does improve. I imagine there was more time in it. And there is a 42.561, the quickest lap, as Gobi goes quicker, a 43.434. And that puts a little bit of space between Bokita and Rose. But here's Nicole Fox. What can the newly appointed silver driver do? And they do not improve. The fastest time of 44.0897. They did a 44.292 that time by. Love to see the support from all of the friends, fans, and teams in the chat. Feel free to cheer on any particular team, your friends, and let them know that you are here to support them. That's the kind of thing we like to see here at RCI TV. Doing pro and silver qualifying for round 4 of the Diamond Drive Cup. And it has been an exciting season with 2 surprise winners in a row. I wouldn't necessarily call Imola a surprise winner. What can Natalie Lee do? Improves to a 45.339. Still puts them in the bottom half of silver. but time on the board. What will occur here is at the 15-minute mark, that will end the Pro and Silver qualifying session, and everybody will be recalled to pit road. All flying laps will count, of course, but after that, everybody will be recalled to pit road, and then the AMs get the track to themselves. The AMs outnumber the other two classes combined, I'm pretty sure. At least they did at the start of the season. So they have their own qualifying session. Otherwise, the track would be just completely congested. This is Charlie Martin. Charlie Martin, one of the reasons the Diamond Drive Cup, if not the biggest reason the Diamond Drive Cup exists. Charlie's able to put that car at a 45.456, good enough for 13th place. Well, here's Schmidt in 4th place, trying to climb up the ladder in Pro. Schmidt finished 2nd in the first round, I'm pretty sure. I have to go back and check my notes on that, but I'm pretty sure Schmidt finished 2nd in the very first round. If you're wondering how Bokita has won 2 in a row and is still 20 points behind Rose, very simply, Bokita had a terrible first race at Alton Park. They finished, I think, 5th or 6th, which is a boatload of points lost, and they've been trying to make it up ever since. Schmidt for Team Fordzilla, trying to improve on their time. Austin here in the 137. Team Cake, love it. I love cake. Who doesn't love cake? If you're inclined to not like cake and you like pie better, then I'd hate to insinuate that your home life was a bit different than mine, but I believe it must have been. A 44.862 for Austin nearly puts them up into the top 10. They will be 11th, right behind Kamugli now, as Fox is holding on to the silver pole. Erwin's 2nd, and now Taylor slots into the 3rd place in silver. Bokita still leads Rose and Gobi for the Pro top 3 with a few minutes left to play.
I'm looking forward to seeing the AM battle. As we've seen, Fury April seems to get themselves quite high up the order. So I always like to look out for where they finish at the end of the session.
I just got to bring something up. Harry Conway, a RCI staff member and showrunner, actually, for the Diamond Drive Cup. He's the one that's making sure all the sessions get off on time, and he basically keeps the schedule and all that. Very lovely human being is Harry Conway. But I've just, I hate to tell you this, but I've just ended my friendship with him. He says he doesn't like cake or pie. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? I hate to shame somebody live on television, but I will do that, Harry. That's unacceptable. You gotta like one of the two.
I was thinking about it, and come to think of it, I'm definitely a cake guy. I'm not a pie person.
Ishmael Brett joining us. Hello to everybody coming in for the Diamond Drive Cup round 4. I am, all jokes aside, I mean, I like to live in a world where I can have both pie and cake. I like to have my cake and eat it too, as most people will do. Sarah Johnson's not had a very fruitful qualifying session, dead last in silver. Will they improve this time? They will improve on their time, 46.665, but no improvement in position. Nicole Fox is on a lap. Let's see where this ends up for the next round racing 202. 6 right now. Gets up inside the top 5. Nicole Fox now splitting Sarah Dove, the pro driver, and has put themselves in the top 5. Of course, they're racing for individual championship points in each division. It's not an overall championship, as that little spin there, or not spin, that little slide, I should say, will ruin Nicole's lap. They will have to reset, and I think they might be done for the session. Schmidt's not done for the session, though. And the Team Fordzilla 74 Aston Martin, attempting to try and claw back and get back on the podium, needs 1.5 tenths thereabout to get that move done. No improvement from the top three. They're all trending in the wrong direction. That lap was quicker for Schmidt. It was a 43.482. Quicker on the board, but not a gain in position. They'll need about half a tenth more, Schmidt will, to beat Gobi for the third place position. Nobody inside the top five trending in the right direction. In fact, they're all in pit lane now. Bakita, Rose, Gobi, and Fox. Schmidt, the only driver that is still technically out there. Sarah Dove, of course, is out there for pro, but none of them trending in the right direction. Like I said, it's mostly just Silver trying to get their final laps in. And we saw this before where the pro drivers will essentially do all that they think they can do and retire. And that has happened as we watch Catherine Taylor, Seaside 765 Racing, in the number 13. I love that paint scheme. I believe that's purple on purple, but with a little bit of light blue in there. I love that. But they're in 8th place overall and third in class. Trying to improve here. Will they do that? Let's see. Coming around the final corner, coming to the line. An improvement indeed. Catherine Taylor slots themselves into the 2nd place position in silver. What can Alice Horton do here for the Speed Kitty Motorsports 25 Aston? This looks like this is going to be an improvement and is all the way up to 8th place, taking the 3rd place in silver at the end of qualifying. Their qualifying session is over. The AMs have been released, and here they come.
See, these are the battles I like to see, the AM battles, because I wouldn't say they're closer, but they're more unpredictable. The pro drivers and to some extent the silvers as well are quite, I don't want to say calculated in their moves, but they're more methodical. So they'll wait for the car ahead to make a mistake, or they'll try and save their tires and wait for the car ahead to pit. Whereas the AMs will just send one down the inside. They don't care. They're here to make places and to show what they can do. And if it means sending one down the inside and maybe bumping door handles, they're happy to do that. And it's great to watch. It's very entertaining.
Well, I was talking to April Carlsvard and Charlotte Robertson before the race. They were practicing. They were very kind of them both to allow me to interrupt their practice session before today's race. I asked them a couple of questions, like, for instance, do they regret having the AMs here in the championship? Said absolutely not. And I asked them the elephant in the room question of, well, it's been a bit. It's been a bit, what's the word I'm looking for here, Nate? Scruffy. It's been a bit scruffy in the mid-pack.
Bit scrappy.
There you go, in the championship. And, they said, well, it's kind of what they signed up for, but it's impossible not to notice, I believe April said, in more or less words. It's impossible not to notice, and it's about minimizing mistakes, but I suppose it's all a part of it. You have to assume, because we have esports champions on the same track as people that have, well, started sim racing as late as about Christmas last year. So you can't expect everybody, you wouldn't expect everybody to be on the same pace. And I think they're all taking it very well. Just the sheer volume of cars on track. And I told them that from a viewer standpoint, because that's basically what we are here in the booth. We're just viewers that are talking about it as it's happening. It's very exciting to watch. It's very different. And I personally love seeing drivers I've never seen before compete. And that's certainly, I've been afforded that luxury here in the Diamond Drive Cup. AM's coming to the line for the very first time. And look at that massive amateur field. And the quickest lap so far was Witcher, but now it's me Witcher came in with a 46. I believe me came in with a 46.434. That's the quickest AM so far. Verena Me for the CMS Pro W335 Mercedes, and getting loose on the curb there. They will have to abandon their second, I think that would have been the second lap. Rangsetter has moved into the third place position in the 818 Bentley. So 2 Bentleys on the provisional podium right now, led by a Mercedes. Well, here's the driver that I think is probably going to be the one that takes pole. Swift Shark 717. This is Fury April. Been just so very dominant, Nate.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's written in stone. It kind of feels that way, though, that Fury will turn up, grab pole, and then sort of wander away while the carnage unfolds behind them. But they did say that the reason they were pushing so hard in the first rounds was because they hate the next sequence of tracks. They're not comfortable on them, they don't enjoy them, so they're trying to build up as big of a gap and as big of a lead as they can. So eventually, when the results start falling away and start slipping away from them, they'll have that buffer there to just maybe trundle home in, third, fourth place and still get necessary points to keep the gap. So it'll be interesting to see, as we do see April go fastest of the AMs, again mixing it up with the silver drivers, as we've come to expect at this point.
Yes, indeed. Fairy April for Swift Sharks goes quickest in AM. April Karlsvard is now in the silver class. Despite the fact that they have an AM placard, it's just incredibly difficult to update that. So for the remainder of the championship, they will have an AM placard, but they are very much being scored as a silver driver. Fury April quickest. Witcher improves to second in AM. Plo is now in third place in that Mercedes. And I cannot pronounce that name correctly. I can't use the right impetus, but I will certainly try my best. As Sarah O'Brien, the Billy No Mates team, in 22nd overall. I think that's about 5th in AM. And oh, dearie me, Nate, here it is. We were very curious after the pummeling that the squished Cupcake Racing team had at Imola, what their name would be. Sarah Fair, who improves to 27th overall, has come in with a new name this week, and they are the Atomized Cupcake Racing number 18 Ferrari team. Well, April's going to catch traffic here. This could be detrimental to improving their time. It might have been, but it was still quicker. A 45.309, 13th place. Fury April threatening the top 10 as an AM again.
I think we're going to have to start putting ballast in that car, slow her down a little bit, get her to mix with other AM drivers. It's just, they're running away with it.
Nate, I know we're supposed to be impartial up here in the booth, but I have been slowly filling their car with sand since the first round, but it doesn't seem to be doing any good.
You are putting it in the correct Swift Sharks car, right? You're not putting it in Dulcina's car on accident.
Oh dear.
So a couple of breeze blocks, bricks, whatever. What else is heavy that we could put in there to slow Fury down? It's just they're so rapid, and it's consistent as well. It's very consistent. They're always mixing with the silvers and threatening top tens. It's great to see. It's really nice to see. When someone underestimates what kind of pace they have, and then suddenly turns out they've got a lot more pace than they thought they would have. But at the same time, it's also not good to see in a sense of competition for AM, because it's sort of like watching Sebastian Vettel in like 2011, when he would just turn up to a Formula 1 track, grab pole, walk away with the race, and it was like, okay, well, who's going to finish behind them? We know who wins. And that's almost what it's kind of feeling like for the AM class as April goes faster again.
Oh, 44.708 for April. Getting it done here. I'm clearly putting the ballast in the wrong car. Folks, how good has April been in AM this season as Witcher improves? Yes, a 45.678. Good enough for the second place in AM class right now. Uh, and Del Cita also improves a 46.440. Good enough for the fourth place in AM, or excuse me, fifth place, in fact, in AM. How good has April been? Very simply here. April's won every single race and then some. April is the only AM driver to have finished on the overall podium. They did that at Olton Park. And also, very interestingly, uh, if they continue on this trajectory, and I'm going to get this out of the way early, I've been doing the math. And I reckon if they win this round and the next round, they can call in for the final round and still win the championship in AM.
I mean, that'd be impressive, wouldn't it?
That would be very impressive indeed. Deb Lab, CMS Pro W, 316 AMG, down in 31st place, looking for an improvement. Coming through the chicanes before entering the final turn. Will admit I am a bit nervous for the start of this race. A lot of quick and twisty corners in this track. An improvement of 48.066, but no improvement as far as position, but a good pickup nonetheless. As me goes just a bit slower than the fastest lap that time by. Just fractionally off their best time. In AM, it's April leading up into the 12th place position overall, but leading AM in qualifying. Witcher, then Plo, then me, and Delcina making up your top five. And I suppose I'm going to let Conway off with it. He says he likes pancakes, as me is trying to do a quick lap here, and that lap is going to be ruined. They caught the lap car, or excuse me, the slower car a bit too quickly or at the wrong place. It's so difficult. That final sector, Nate, is full of sudden 90-degree turns one way or another. And if you catch a car at the wrong place that's also on a lap, well, you get what happened to me right there.
Yeah, I mean, I recently did a race here in the McLaren, and that car, I mean, you point it vaguely towards any kind of curb, and it just gets very nervous. Like, you can feel it start shaking. It doesn't enjoy going near the curbs. I mean, obviously you can ride the rumble strips, but those big sausage curves on the final chicane, if you touch one of those, it just completely ruins you. You lose so much time, and you're either having a big slide in which you overheat the tires and ruin them, or you're pointing backwards, and it's not a car that enjoys the curbs. And like you said, if you unfortunately they were just caught up. It seemed like they had a messy entrance into that sequence of corners. I can only assume they caught the curb, as I mentioned, which then put them back into May, and from there on we saw what happened. It was just damage control, really trying to not punt the car ahead and not hold the car behind up.
Here is Charlotte Robertson, the driver that literally started sim racing in December, and it's going to be a spin. So easy to do out of the chicanes, those giant mountain curbs, the anti-cut curbs. So easy to get over the curb and unsettle the car and go around, and that is indeed what happened there. And that is going to be an aborted lap. Luckily, though, I don't think that will influence this lap time, since in the chicane you're going pretty much that slow anyway. Hopefully they will be able to recover. And the number 11 Lexus there. Now, this is very interesting from Rank Setter. I'm not used to seeing them quite so far back. I feel like Rank Setter is one of the teams that usually comes up in the race, regardless of where they start, but even still, don't feel like. Where are they? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're about seventh in AM, and that's a bit out of place for them based on where they usually finish anyway.
They are up on a lap though, so they might pull themselves out of that position. Hopefully, although it depends if they've got a lot of time to make in these corners. Otherwise, they actually probably won't. Looking at the timing screen, it's not looking promising. Actually, I put so much hype on that, and it's gonna fizzle to a whole lot of nothing, unfortunately.
Well, that was an improvement, but did not improve them on the board, unfortunately. As Verena Me here, continuing their lap, coming to the end now. We got to be careful. Don't want to catch that car in front. I don't think that will be a problem here. Trying to get on the podium to start this race. As very wise race car driver once said, it's easier to win from the front. And a couple of positions, and they do put themselves back on the AM podium for the start of the race. Verena Me up into third place in AM.
So, are these cars on a lap at the moment? Yes, they are. So these
They
will
are
be
indeed.
the last few cars to set their laps. They're running a little bit close. All it takes is for one car to make a mistake ahead of you, and it completely throws your lap out the window. So, fingers crossed they all get through cleanly and can all improve on their times. It looks like Sketch Rain is leading this little trio, and she is currently up on her best time, but I can't see that any of the others are.
Well, for Reina, it's very difficult because if you, yeah, but it's good for them because they're out in front. That car reminds me of something. Oh, a little dip into the dirt there. That car reminds me of something, but I can't for the life of me recall what it reminds me of. But for the, I'm not even gonna try and pronounce the name of that team. Gayzilla Track
Track
Online
Online Racing.
Racing.co.uk team. That will slot them into the 29th position as qualifying officially comes to the end, and everybody will take a few moments in pit road to set up for the race. I think now is an appropriate time to talk about the race itself. We are at Barcelona. Love it or hate it, it does create some very interesting racing here in RCI as we normally see. And today, with so many cars, Nate, it could be a drama filled race in the mid pack once again. Not the widest circuit with the most options is Barcelona.
I feel like we say that every week at every track we come to that it's not the widest, but unfortunately these are
Well,
the
we haven't
tracks
been
that
to Monza.
we've been selected. Oh no, we don't talk about Monza. Oh lord. But yeah, these are the tracks that have been selected. These are the ones that we turn up to, that we race at. Um, my worry after last week is turn one, but hopefully they'll all just take it a little bit easy. They'll learn from what happened, and we can see that close racing that we eventually got to once the instance had sorted themselves out.
Yes, I think Vanta's interested. Vanta wasn't here, but I will remind everybody. April Cosvard is now, even though they have an AM placard, they are in silver now, so they are not participating in the AM championship anymore. As we will get you the final results of qualifying, we will be able to confirm the results. We're going to do the top three in each category. Bokita, Rose, and Gobi are going to be your top three in pro. In silver, it's going to be Fox, Taylor, and Horton that line up in the first three positions for that class. In April, who is on a different planet, They are not even in Barcelona. They will line up on pole of Am with Witcher and me. Is that? And that is your podium positions. And we were talking about it earlier, the championship standings. Why not have a look? This, of course, the damage done. Rose, still your pro championship leader by 20 points over Bokita here, despite the fact that Bokita has won 2 in a row. That bad finish at Olton Park has been an incredible hindrance. Schmidt now third place in the championship, about an equal amount of points back. And Sarah Dove in fourth place with 149, pretty level with Schmidt, just 2 points the difference. Gobi in fifth place, a little bit further back than Vicky Thompson, who I don't think is participating today, and neither is Mia Rose. And those are your 7 pro drivers. Well, here is Fox leading this championship, handily so over Sturch and Taylor, the top 3. The battle very clearly here from second on back. And in fourth place, Erwin is 1 point ahead of Horton, rounding out the top 5 behind them. Charlie Martin, Natalie Lee 1 point out of it. Kamugli very close behind. Carlsvard as well, who has been promoted to this championship. And Vandenberg is your top 10 in silver. Back half of silver, Sarah Johnson, Austin Moore, and Savage. Savage has not taken part in the championship, but still all to play for with 3 races to go. GT Am here. April dominating, running away with it. We talked about that earlier. Sarah O'Brien has a 3-point lead over Reyna, and that is your top 3. Witcher is within striking distance, but on their own island in fourth place. And me is a bit back as well, rounding out the top 5. Behind them, Anderson and Ranksetter are very close together, just a few points. And Delcina not far behind, actually tied with Edwards in the 9th place position. And Riot round out your top 10. And these are the back half of the Am field. Sarah Fair very close to the 10th place position. Charlotte Robertson, I should say, is only about a handful of points back there. And of course, McKean and Deb Lab are tied with Plo right behind them by 2 points. And of course, Spark only 2 points behind Plo. And then Davids is the final points holder, and Maurer has not taken part in the championship. And those are your points for all the 3 different categories we have on tap for you today. And we're not entirely sure what happened, but they did release on the sighting lap a bit quicker than they normally would do. But nevertheless, all drivers accounted for, all of them on the track, 2 by 2, as far as the eye can see. The flagman has the flag in their hand. They're ready to wave it. They do wave it. The green flag is out. We are live for round 4 of the Diamond Drive Cup. And big moves from Gobi, looking to the inside, all the way down to the inside. Big crash in the back of the field. It all looks like it's sorted out as Gobi's going big here, and it's going to come to a touch almost, but it doesn't happen. Position was not forfeited. Rose is able to hold on somehow to the 2nd place position. Bokita getting away in 1st place, and all of a sudden Schmidt's trying to take 3rd away from Gobi early.
Yeah, so they all seem to have kept their noses clean through turn 1. No cars turned around and everyone's still pointing in the right direction. So it is really, really good to see. Gobi getting a little bit, I don't want to say, as we see a touch. Oh, no. Big accident, and then the rejoin.
Oh, they're still not done. There's going to be more wrecking here. You got to watch out. And a couple more cars go off, including the Lexus.
Oh God, that goodness. Bentley just playing ping
we're still not done. Oh, yeah, they're still crashing over here. And that was April Carlsvard, the Lexus. I know Carlsbad's car because it's one of the only Lexuses. Oh, there's going to be more contact between the two Bentleys here. Charlie
Ooh.
Martin and that other one is going away. Was that Vandenberg, perhaps?
I think it may have been. I'm just trying to see the timing sheet, see who's falling down. It was indeed Vandenberg. Unfortunate there, but the majority of them are still pointing forwards. So we just have to see if there's any more contact. Hopefully now it's all filtered through, all settled down. Everyone's got the position they want to be in, and we can see
Well,
some more.
that's not true. A couple of them were crashed, Nate.
Commentator's curse strikes once more.
Yeah, exactly. We've done it again somehow. I was just about to say, and I'm glad I didn't say it now, that as far as the first few corners were concerned, that was a darn good start and only a few couple of crashes sort of in the back pack. And then it all broke loose after the hairpin. And, well, it went to tears. Several drivers have drive-through penalties. Rada and Wright have drive-throughs. That we assume is due to a start position violation, being out of position, being too quick, etc., and so forth. Many cars have come down pit road after that first lap incident. You can see the tire marks off of this particular corner just going off into the dirt, and we have a replay of the start here. See the one car off in the back, they got a big shunt, and I thought for a second here that Schmidt was going to have their way, but they did not, and it all kicked off behind them. The initial start was fairly clean except for the one shunt in the back, and, well, Nate, this is where it all goes wrong right here.
Yeah,
Oh, big move there. Already crashing and just huge contact with that Aston Martin. And further up the field, we documented April was involved as well, also being spun along with some other cars. And then Charlie Martin with Vandenberg a turn ahead. And we just got all these replays. There's the incident in question. And all of these Bentleys together, 3 wide is not going to work. I didn't see how that one Bentley got out in the dirt, but that explains it very well. Excellent camera work by Stewie here today. He has caught everything. So that one that went off was Natalie Lee. That was the one that was shoved off. And we have a race for the lead. Race for the lead. Defensive move, Bokita. Bokita keeping Rose behind them for the time being. Excellent turn one section. Rose is able to stay on the apex longer, makes the corner radius shorter. And Bokita again going defensive into the hairpin. This is excellent stuff between the top two drivers. They've been the world class, or the class of the field, I should say, for the entire championship. And they're showing it here. It's just going to be muscle down the inside is Rose. Rose down the inside. Position gained. Bokita back to second. Schmidt now third. But not giving up on the outside is Bokita.
no, not around there. That's a death trap. If you try and put it around the outside there, you'll just get put into the gravel. But really, really good racing. You saw Bokita trying to squeeze Rose into the corner, trying to get her to brake harder to get out of the move. But Rose said, I'm taking this position. You're not closing the door on me. Put her foot through the door and then barged her way in. So good, clean racing, no contact. And I'm sure that will not be the last move we see from those two.
Well, they have a history of coming together. It's been respectful when they do, though. No bad blood there, I wouldn't suspect, especially the way they race each other. The mannerisms do not seem to imply that there's bad blood there, though they have came together before. But a nice move and position gain for Rose. Rose, who Nate talked about earlier, thought that they could win every round if things went their way. Well, unfortunately, that hasn't occurred. But the bright side is they still have a 20-point lead in the championship as Carlsbad makes a pass, and that's Charlotte Robertson. Now, these two were practicing together. Now, what happens to Charlotte here? Off into the dirt, but nothing. All just goes deep there. Just goes deep into the corner, loses grip, and there's no grip in the painted areas.
No, it seemed the dirt on the tyres just completely impeded the braking performance, ran wide into the corner, and then just got it backwards all on their own. As we see another replay here, what's about to happen. Bumper cars, maybe? Yep.
Indeed, indeed. How did you guess? That always seems to happen, that accordion effect in the chicane, doesn't it? It doesn't matter who's racing, that accordion effect always seems to happen. Reina here did have a drive-through penalty. Either they served it or they cleared it, one way or another. I think they served it, in fact. What happened to Vandenberg? Oh, a pass and a touch. And oh my goodness, a Randy Orton RKO out of nowhere right there sends them backwards in the corner.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That was a meaty punt right there if I've ever
That
seen
was
one.
that was definitely a punt with intention, I would say, as we see a replay with Charlie Martin.
Charlie Martin trying to go up the inside of the GTR. Oh,
Almost.
good successful defense by the GTR, and either somebody was having, yes, somebody is indeed coming in to pit road. That's Charlie Martin for turn 1 DDC. Everybody has a mandatory pit stop. You must take a liter of fuel at some point during the race. So here is Sarah Fair in the atomized cupcake racing team. Saw some of you in chat, some of you eagle-eyed fans out there noticed that perhaps the 33 was involved in the early melee, and considering their 33rd, I tend to agree with you, as April's car, that 69 Fury Racing Lexus, looks unsettled here, but even still, they've made it inside the top 20.
I think the Lexus, personally anyway, is pretty good around here. I'm sure there'll be someone to tell me I'm wrong. But the Lexus itself, as a car, like I said, I've done a couple of races recently with some friends in a few other championships, and the Lexus, then when people get in it, it just seems to be this wall. Like, it's so fast on the straight. It can, as we see Plo go off there, unfortunately.
That was the 333.
But yeah, the Lexus just seems so planted, and it's just got so much straight line speed, as we see, just a little bit
Over-rotated,
eager.
a little too much gas, and a little bit of a crunch.
But no other cars involved, so that's a bonus for that one. As we see McKeehan stopped on the MotoGP circuit.
So what happened to McKeehan here? Going through the chicane, misses the corner, and good avoidance by the cars behind. There might have been light contact, but good avoidance there. That is so hard to do. A BMW is pretty much as wide as the track is right there. As Alice Horton making a pass. Speed Kitty Motorsport getting it done up into the 15th position. This is no joke, my favorite championship, simply because of the names of the teams and the colors of the cars. I love it. I love a colorful race car. Not when Mike Noble does it, but you know what I mean. I like a brightly colored race car, and I like a nice name. And there are some very nice names in this championship. Charlotte Robertson up into the 22nd position. As you can see, some of the teams that have not had a great start of their race, Natalie Lee Vandenberg and Charlie Martin, all having issues. And I've been told by the race admin that all the drive-throughs were due to cars driving into each other. As the race went green, that would give you a drive-through penalty because they were out of position on the initial start, and all of those penalties have been served. Thank you, race admin Harry Conway, for that information. We definitely appreciate that. Nicole Fox looking to make a pass here on what appears to be Dove. Now keep in mind, this is silver. I know it says that they're AM, but the 202 Next Round Racing Audi is in fact a silver driver, and they are trying to pass the 177 for the fifth place overall. This would not be a pass for position in class. Nicole Fox already leading in silver. But, well, they're allowed to race regardless as long as they are, racing for position. I mean, they're allowed to race in general, but it's all about beating who you can beat. And a top 5 is better than a top 6, and it's that simple. As Catherine Taylor is fighting Erwin here. And consider that pass done. Taylor up to 7th, Erwin down a spot into 8th.
Yep, it's seeming like we're breaking up into those pockets again that I talked about last week, where everyone has someone to race, but it's almost like they're running their own race between the 2, 3, or 4 cars that are together, until you see the leader whiz by you at what feels like a million miles an hour. Even in the same car, you watch them take the corner and you're like, how are they taking these corners this fast? But it's like I said, everyone's got someone to race. It's nice that no one's just floating around on their own for the most part. Obviously, we do have a couple of cars out of position because of the first lap contact and the early pit stops, but I'm sure in no time everyone will be caught up and trying to make positions.
Witcher, Anderson, and Riot here, all going at it. Little three-way battle here. At least I thought that was Anderson. Actually, it was not, in fact. That was a different McLaren. That was Gobi going through. So this is sort of my next point is due to the drive-throughs and the melee that was the initial start of the race, we didn't have that period of calm where the leaders were able to make up time and space, simply because if you look at the track map, ladies and gents, there are cars everywhere already, and we're less than 15 minutes into the race, and there are literally cars littered all over the racetrack already. And we saw how detrimental that was in qualifying. Well, you can pretty much imagine what that does in the race as well.
I'm starting to slowly understand why a lot of the drivers said they were not looking forward to Barcelona, and it just seems like we've got the high temperature and a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of technical corners, but we've got the technical last sector, we've got the really, really long right-handed turn 3, which just ruins the tyres. It's going to be who can make the tyres last the longest, and how long can you make them before you start losing time to get the late pit stop. As we see a car sensibly getting out of the way there for the leaders to come through.
Well, Nicole Fox wants 5th place from Sarah Dove. I think that's been very obvious for the last couple of laps. The move has not been made. And the thing about Dove is not really driving that defensively considering how close Fox is. Fox and Dove, insert some Animal Kingdom analogy here.
I think it might be. We've seen it before. Dove doesn't tend to get caught up in racing other drivers. Dove just prefers to run their own race, do what they need to do, and then see where the cards fall come the checkered flag. So it might be they're not driving defensively because they're not going to defend the position heavily. Obviously, they're staying ahead, they're driving well, but if Fox gets, an opportunity to run at them, I can't imagine Dove defending it too hard. Like I said, during qualifying, sorry, some of the drivers play it quite smart in the terms of running their own race and not getting caught up in battles that they don't perceive to be their own. So it's just about, like I said, making the tyres last, seeing how long you can go, and then getting the fresh rubber at the end to make any last lap or, last minute maneuvers.
Well, it's just like Formula One. they always say any driver can be a fast driver, but not every driver is a smart driver. And I don't know who it was that said it now, but in the 70s, when the cars were famously unreliable, it was about having a driver who was more consistent and took care of the car. And what they were looking for were drivers who, well, babysat the car. And that's sort of the same with endurance racing as well, which is what this sort of is. You have to have a car in the race to win the race, and if you take yourself out of the race, well, let's just say the prize pool for finishing last isn't nearly as big as it would be if you raced sensibly and took a top 5. And that's sort of what has stuck with me for years about racing, is that you can be an incredibly quick driver and have really bad results, or you can be a consistent driver and constantly be in the fight. And I think that's what Sarah Dove is doing here, though Dove has walked out that gap now. But you know who hasn't walked out the gap? Rose and Bokita. Rose did have a 1.3 second lead a lap or so ago. So, Nate, what that tells me is Rose had a little bit of a moment somewhere and has allowed Bokita to catch all the way back up again.
It would definitely seem that way, as we see a replay here. What happened to poor old Rainer?
Oh my goodness!
Coming
was
in
that Charlie
way...
Martin? Who was
no,
that?
that wasn't Charlie Martin.
Who was
but
that?
I'm not sure who.
So that was the 888 Bentley. Okay, so that was Sarah Johnson in the 888. Now, I had heard this before as the battle for the lead commences. I'd heard this before, Nate, that some of the cars' stopping distances are so dramatically different that it is catching a lot of the drivers out, considering there are so many different cars and there's so many different braking points for those teams. And add that with the different skill levels, you get what you're seeing there. And it was interesting talking to the teams about that and how they just sort of expected it, to the point where they've talked about it. Alice Horton here is involved in it. Is that the 888 again? It is Sarah Johnson again. So let's see. Oh, that's... Oh, dear. That's, well, hard. I can't really fault the 888 for that. And Horton has remained behind the 888, the international symbol of my bad. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I don't think you could pin too much on the 25 though, because I believe, in fact, I'm certain the 888 was being lapped. So realistically, when they went wide there, they should have just stayed offline and allowed Horton to come through.
Well, no, they're on the same lap.
Are they? Oh, they are. Apologies. Yeah. Apologies, I was getting Horton mixed up with someone else.
They continued to race on, though, anyway. Horton allowed them to stay in front. Of course, that will be damage for the 888, more than they already had after the punt from with Reina, who was a lap car. Reina was a lap car in that earlier incident, but that 888 now is going to be carrying some fairly massive damage, as Horton is going to try and go around the long way, the outside here, and will just about do it, as the inside will turn into the outside, but it won't quite be enough.
But now they've got the line through turn 3, so they should get a really, really nice run.
Oh, look at that.
Inside for turn 4, there it is.
I feel like Johnson almost waved the white flag of surrender there and said, yeah, go on through. As it's humorous to me, but it will not be for any of these teams and drivers. As watch out getting into the corner. Everybody does a good job there. The incident report from the early part of the race, from the first half of a lap, that is, as we see April here, trying to take the 8th place away from Erwin. Oh, excuse me, that was a lap car. I do apologize. Half the Bentleys, you'll have to understand, are yellow or green and black, and it's hard for me because I'm senile and old to determine which one is which. I don't know what kind of cruel joke it is that a lot of the Bentleys showed up in that particular color scheme, but it plays havoc with my old man eyes. So I do very much apologize for that, but Stewie was showing me the incident report from the first half a lap, and it looked like a full race of incidences, but I can assure you it was the first half of a lap. It has cleaned up since then, though, and all the penalties that were received for the start fractions were used, or were served, rather. Sarah Johnson in the 888, who we just saw a moment ago, has ducked into the pit lane. Lee is the only driver in the top 24 that has completed their pit stop. Lee driving the number 19 Bentley. They're down in 21st place right now. They're the first car on the road that has pitted to fulfill their mandatory stop. Meanwhile, the two leaders, you love them, you hate them, I can't quit you. The 56 and the 326. Nate, how many times have we seen these two race each other this season? It's been an absolute treat.
It's almost like if you were zoomed in, you could just pretend that they're on a different track, because this seems to be the configuration we see them in almost every time we cut to action with them, as we see Rose going defensive on the inside, but covers it off very well. But yeah, these two just almost glued to one another, bumper to bumper, almost permanently. The only time we ever see them apart is when one of them has an accident with another car. So it's great racing to see.
Oh, look at this! I love it. I love it. I love it.
That Aston is maybe a little bit harder on its tires than the McLaren, and they're really starting to struggle, because it seems like Bokita going from falling off the back of the Aston to now not giving it an inch to breathe. It just seems like the tires are in a better place for the McLaren versus the Aston.
Find it quite humorous. The sim contender is asking how old I am after my previous comment. I meant that in jest, of course. My eyes are a bit broken. I do have to wear glasses and/or contacts, but I'm not that old. But I'm not going to tell you how old exactly I am. Is Sarah O'Brien? Oh, does he? Oh, do they see each other? Yes, they do, but still a little bit of contact. Just a touch and just a love tap. It's fine. But what I will tell you is I have lived in 5 different decades, so that gives you a general idea of how old I am. Bokita, though, is still in pursuit of Rose, and I love watching Rose defend. She goes all the way to the inside of the track, right around to the grass, forcing Bokita to the outside. And now when Bokita makes the move, Rose comes off the bottom. Ooh. Contact into one. Oh, more contact. Bokita with a punt. Bokita did not mean to do that, and Bokita will wait. Rose is waiting for a safe time. Yes, going very slowly is Bokita. Rose making sure very safely that they rejoin. Oh, and nearly contact there with Gobi, but no contact. And now Schmidt is your new leader of the race. Here is Felipe Bokita still going slowly.
Which puts Gobi into a net second, is it?
I believe that is going to be the case, Nate. Still going slowly, Bokita, trying to allow Rose to catch back up. There is Rose in the Aston Martin coming into the frame. And there it is. Rose back in front of Bokita. They've lost out extraordinarily so. Bokita back to 5th. Rose is up to 2nd. Dove is 4th.
Ooh, no, excuse me. A scary moment there. As Fox just got a little bit of a twitch on. Nearly collected the back of the McLaren.
Indeed. So Schmidt leads over Gobi, Rose third, Dove is fourth, Bokita now fifth in the race. The move did not come off in turn one. There was contact, and the exact opposite of what we saw a week ago at Imola. Rose and Bokita contact going into one. Oh, I see what happened. Rose was carrying a little bit too much speed and came off the apex where Bokita was and slid the car sideways. Bokita couldn't get to the brakes in time and a spin. No malice there, in my opinion, at all. Just an incident. It happens. And Bokita, though, spinning her car, taking the blame for it, the same way that Rose took the blame for spinning Bokita last week. The exact opposite here today, and complete mayhem in Spain as Schmidt now leads over Gobi and Dove third. Rose in the pit lane, serving the mandatory stop. I don't know what else to say. Absolutely incredible stuff. Extraordinary stuff for a fourth week in a row. You couldn't write this stuff.
No, every week there's always some unexpected twist. We always expect something to happen, but it always happens in a way that I feel like neither of us are quite expecting.
I couldn't predict it. I couldn't predict it. I sometimes I make outlandish predictions before the start of the race, but not even I could assume anything this insane. I was talking to some of the drivers before the race. I said that this is some of the most interesting racing we get because it is so unpredictable. Is it scrappy at times? Yes, but is it very interesting and compelling? You better believe it is. As more cars into pit lane, me into pit lane, Carlsvard in, and now watching.
I saw that one coming.
Oh, gotta watch out.
Oh, Dalcina and Martin again. These two are gonna just be sick of seeing each other by the end of this event.
Okay. Oh, dangerous stuff here with the rejoin. Not necessarily the most dangerous rejoin, but dangerous spot with the S's. I would very much love to see a replay of what happened there.
I think it was just a case of Dalcina maybe being a little bit too aggressive, Martin maybe being a little bit too late on the brakes, and they just, they just came together.
Oh, contact there. It's so easy to unsettle the car. Alice Horton and Moore, the 26 and the 25, racing for the final spot in the top 10. Moore has it. Horton wants it. And it has been a very interesting race to this point. This is going back to the Charlie Martin incident. And Charlie down on the inside just hops the curb in there too deep. Basically spins themselves out.
Yeah, I'd call that a racing incident personally, but I'm sure when you're in the seat, in the heat of the moment, you won't view it as that. One person will blame the other person and vice versa. They'll be pointing fingers at each other saying it was your fault, you did X wrong. But at the end of the day, when they both cooled down, I'm sure they'll look at it objectively and be able to admit that they were probably both a little bit in the wrong, and hopefully they'll move past it. But those two are starting to get a little bit of a history of coming together as we see the new racing line for turn 3.
I've done that myself a few times. I can guarantee you it's not quicker. Bokita, I promise you that. But Schmidt into pit lane surrenders the lead. Now what happens here to Reina? Oh, a little bit of punt to pass, and oh no, more heavy contact on the exit of the corner there as well. But the race for the sort of lead here after Schmidt has pitted. Out of the lead, Dove leading the race now in the 177 Lamborghini. Bokita second. Bokita still needs to make this pass. This is for position, even if it's not for the lead. It is for the lead as they run. But it's very important that Bokita gets by Dove. Remember, Rose was in front of Dove. So if that battle is to continue, this pass needs to occur at some point. And while we are in the sequence of pit stops, I'd like to invite you all to like and subscribe for more GT racing content. Not always as hectic as it is today, but it's always interesting. And don't you know, we are racing more often than not these days. And a massive move, Bokita on Dove. Dove with a little bit of a love tap, we'll say, as Bokita slides up in front of the 177. No harm, no foul. Position to Bokita. Bokita assumes the race lead, but still has to pit. But like I was saying, like and subscribe for more GT racing content. We've got a Friday championship. Night Owl returns this Saturday, and the Jardier and Jimmy Broadbent present the 12 Hours of Bathurst this Sunday. You're going to want to watch that. And of course, our Monday championship as well. Why not subscribe? Get notified for every race that we do here. We would love to have you with us. And a big thank you to all of the partners that make this race and every race possible. Race Department, AK Informatica, Raceface, Speed Labs, and Sim Racing GP. Thank you to all of those partners that help us stay on the track. More information about them in the description. And if you're wondering, how can I get involved and get into racing? Well, it's very simple. All you have to do, as Catherine Taylor is backwards, what happened to Taylor? I'm assuming a braking point again, and indeed, something's up with those Bentleys in the braking zones. Oh no! Horrible time to move. Something's up with those Bentleys because they're either braking quicker than everybody else or their performance is worse. I'm not sure which one it is, but definitely seems to be a Bentley specific issue. But anyways, if you're wondering how you can get involved, just join our Discord for more information. We have GT Racing for everyone, and also that link is in the description. You can also use the command in chat as well. And thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for being here and cheering on your favorite drivers from today's race. I hope they're going well. Well, Alice Horton does, in fact, get around. In fact, that is Bokita going by. I think I don't know if I don't think Horton actually did get by. I think that the other car pitted is what happened there. But there is Delcina in 17th position. Charlie Martin again. What happens here? Oh, the car on the outside there. Well, if Charlie Martin didn't have bad luck, they would not have any luck at all. Sarah Johnson going into the chicane. Tough part of the racetrack, just gets loose. A little bit of contact. And of course, that was again with Charlie Martin in the not triple eight, excuse me. That was with Charlie Martin though, and that's in the 100, that is. And like I said, If Charlie didn't have bad luck, they would not have any luck. It's just been that sort of championship for Martin, and it's been that kind of race for a lot of people. Marina Me here trying to get by Witcher for the 21st spot. All these cars have pitted. This is all for position. Trying to set up the pass. It doesn't come off there. Looks like they got a little loose, did me, in the 335. Car looks incredibly unsettled, and in fact is for me. Slides into the grass, saves it. Good save. Hard to do. Oh, contact avoided here for Nicole Fox, trying to make a pass on O'Brien. Gets it done. O'Brien recognizes that Fox is there and is now gone. O'Brien still has to pit, and a drive-through penalty for former race leader Anor Rose in the 56 Aston Martin. You can only assume that is track limits, and Rose has parked the 56 John Lacey Esports Academy car near the end of the back straightaway and has officially retired from the race.
So, well, that's definitely going to make an impact on the championship standings, isn't it?
It is right. Makes a pass there, a little bit of contact, and nothing else going on there. You usually see that. You see that in all forms of motorsport through that chicane. That's why I hate that chicane, but does make things a bit lively at the end of the lap, you have to admit. Well, Rose has retired from the race, and this is going to change this championship dramatically. Rose, who came in with what I would consider, with her skill, a considerable lead, and considering how little Bokita was able to make up in 2 rounds with 2 wins, it was looking very good. But this is going to change everything for Rose, as Rose has decided to park the 56 Aston. I've never noticed that Vandenberg's team is Team Peep. I've never noticed that before. But Yvonne Vandenberg, Team Peep number 14, Bentley. Nice in-car cam here with the steering wheel on the wrong side. Is chasing down Delcina in front.
That was a little bit aggressive, Jesse.
I can't wait for what that starts in chat.
I mean, even though here in the UK we drive on the right, I can't drive the Bentley because I'm so used to driving the racing cars on the left that as soon as I get into that car, it just puts all my apexes and braking zones out the window. But technically the correct side, I'll have you know, but for racing, maybe the subjective side, we'll say that.
Oh, as Sarah Moore in the 26 goes for a spin. You don't normally see spins there, but when you do, it's very dangerous because that is a blind uphill section. Fury April here making a pass for the 7th place on rank setter, getting the 7th place away. The Swift Shark 717 absolutely flying here.
That move was fairly important though because Rangsetter still has not.
Oh!
Oof. That was a bit of a slide from Erwin there into. Whoa!
Oh my goodness! Duke boys over the curb. The back end tries to pass the front, and a close your eyes and pray moment That was scary to watch. I can't imagine what that felt like to be driving.
See, those curbs are dangerous.
It is indeed. Alex Horton still trying to get around Moore. That battle that had cooled off when Moore pitted has reignited again after pit stops, and there's still no time in it between the two of them. Both of those drivers will be frustrated that they weren't able to get away from each other after a pit stop. But the 26 and the 25 still fighting. We presume that is going to be for ninth place when all of this shakes out. Still a few drivers and teams that have not pitted. Ringsetter and O'Brien have not pitted. They can pit at any point during the race. There is no pit window in Diamond Drive Cup. As Vandenberg battling a Bentley. This is exactly what I was talking about. Half of these Bentleys are all painted differently, but very similar colors. And it's very difficult to determine who's who some of the time. But Alice Horton here trying to get by Moore. Could this be it? Alice is probably going to stuff it down the inside here on the replay, I assume, and that's how they got side by side. Indeed, almost like the McLaren forfeited the corner did Moore. But I think, excellent job knowing that they were going to have the advantage in a corner's time and ended up keeping the position. And now Horton is going to get frustrated more and more as Delcina off with a Bentley there.
That was mine again. Surely they didn't have contact between the two of them again.
Well, if they did, I'm guaranteeing you Stewie's trying to find it because he wants to show it. He wants to see it himself. And in fact, I think what a brilliant man Stewie is. I think he's found it. Oh, no. Okay. So this is different at this point. That was avoiding that turned into contact. That was not the same as the other incidents. I think we can all agree upon.
No,
so what happened to start that? Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Sarah Johnson going big style over the curbs. Looked like they had no brakes, Nate.
Yeah, like you said, it's a weird issue with the Bentleys. I don't really know what's going on. I mean, I've not had any competitive seat time in the Bentley. I don't know the characteristics of the car, but yeah, it just seems coming into that hairpin, they've just got no brakes. It's bizarre.
Well, folks, Stewie has just texted me a picture of that Lexus flying through the air. He's an excellent cameraman and an excellent photographer. I'm going to post this in chat. I want you all to see just how high in the air that Lexus got over that sausage curve. Oh, yes, incredible. Indeed. There it is. I'm not going to have to post it. What an amazing... Not only did they not lose the car after that occurred, they just kept driving. I'm probably certain I would have a Code Brown moment if that happened to me, but then again, I am not the world-class caliber of driver as some of these drivers are today. So, oh no, it's going to be a punt. It's going to be a punt for me. Me did not mean to do that on Witcher, and that battle will be sort of broken up for the moment as Witcher gets the car going the right way. The turn one Diamonds number 12 Bentley, and it looked like me was slowing down for Witcher, but it looks like they took off, and it's going to be another contact with the 818 and Ringsetter. So April and Ringsetter are going to have contact here, and again it's a Bentley late in the braking zone.
Yeah, you even saw April try and avoid the contact. They went to turn in for the corner, saw the Bentley was maybe going for the inside, and you saw them turn out and still got turned around.
Yeah, there's something going on with the Bentleys. I had heard some of the teams talk about this before, about the Bentleys. They're different. They're fundamentally different with how they stop or something in comparison to the other cars. And I don't know if it's catching people out as April Cosfar nearly Gymkhana drifts up the hill, gets it saved, and will continue to pursue Charlie Martin for the 16th place position. keep in mind, this is for position in class. Carlsbad is a silver driver as of this race. So this is for the 16th place and also a position in silver. Charlie Martin will know that, of course, as the Lexus in front goes a little sideways, and I believe that was Robertson. Excellent sounds of the race car here. Carlsbad pursuing the Bentley, and you could hear that wonderful engine down that front straightaway. Lovely note. One of the best sounding cars in all of racing, in my opinion. Well, Bokita leads overall, but still has to pit. By my math, I've been doing some maths.
Oh,
And
not again.
Nate, please. I have been doing some maths, and Schmidt will come out ahead of Bokita by about 15 to 20 seconds is the gap between the two of them. I don't think anything short of Bokita fitting a jet engine to that McLaren, that there's anything that Bokita can do to win this race over Schmidt. I think Schmidt might have the upper hand here, but it probably won't matter because Bokita still might take the championship lead. Because of Rose's retirement, they will finish 6th, 5th or 6th, which will, if I'm not mistaken, folks, completely level out the points going into round 5 next week.
All the marbles to play for at the moment, isn't there? There's no clear-cut one driver walking away. So, but we have heard the reason Rose retired was there was a clutch issue, and it was stuck open about 10%. So, losing speed, acceleration, all of the above throughout the lap.
Well, mechanical retirements, we've seen them in the series. Some people may mock that. How can you have a mechanical retirement in sim racing? Well, there are a lot of moving parts, a lot of metal on metal, and a lot of electronic devices, just like there would be in the real thing. The only real difference there is, of course, a lot of those parts are connected via USB and not by wire, I think is the big difference. And everything, all electronics and everything can break. As we see me here, who is now behind Austin, trying to get that position. It's all about following as close as you dare through this section to potentially get this run, and this might be it. And it's going to be position forfeited for the moment.
Actually, that's that dub lapping. Yeah, I think
that is indeed.
So really nice respect for the blue flags there. Obviously, they're under no obligation to jump out of the way, but this isn't Formula 1. But it's always helpful if you just roll off the throttle on a straight, let the lapping car past you, and then just pick it back up again to tuck in behind them for the next corner.
I'll always say that the final turn here at Barcelona never feels as tight as it is when you're driving. When you look at it, it looks incredibly tight, but if you exit properly, you can basically take it wide open the final turn. But it doesn't look like you could if you're just looking at it. I always find that amazing when I see these cars go around there. So Carlsbad, this is Charlie Martin's rear bumper cam. Looking back at Carlsbad, and what I'll say about that Lexus is that it's got some fairly significant nose damage. Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, just looking at the timing screen, Sophie Erwin in the number 7 Bentley has been given a drive-through penalty for track limits violation. which means that they have exhausted their 3 track limits warnings and has now received a drive-through penalty. That's bad news for the silver driver, who I believe, yes, indeed, was in 4th place in silver, and that is going to drop them right down definitely out of the top 5, 6. They might be 8th in class after they serve that penalty. So that is not going well. It was going very well for Erwin, but now has completely come undone with 8 minutes 25 left to go. We didn't talk at all about the track temp. The track temp fairly high here. 33 degrees C track temp is significantly hot. And that could be causing all sorts of issues with the tires. I don't think anybody on their pit stop changed tires.
Would you change tires personally, or would you just do a stop and drop?
I mean, you can't. You can't afford the extra seconds it takes to change tires here. You just can't do it. In a 1 hour race, the only reason you would do that is that if the delta was enough that it made sense that if you pitted halfway, you would make up all the time. And I'm talking like 15 seconds worth of time in 30 minutes, which is not unheard of. We definitely saw that at Bathurst here at RCI once, where in a short sprint race, it was more advantageous to take tires. But here today, Nate, the delta is just not enough. As Felipe Bokita does come in to pit, 25 seconds over Schmidt. I promise you that will not be enough. This pit lane is very, very long. So what you will see is Schmidt for Team Fordzilla coming by here. Here is Schmidt off the final turn. Bokita in their pit stall. Still stationary, and now they're down and gone, and there they are in the background in pit road. And change of position, new leader of the race again, Team Fordzilla Schmidt in the 74 Aston Martin. Schmidt leading, Bokita second, down and gone, and Gobi coming out of the final turn. So Gobi is going to be in 3rd place. Dove will be 4th. And that will be your pro drivers. Nicole Fox leading silver. I know it is an AM placard, but it is a silver driver, I promise. Nicole Fox leading Taylor and Rangsetter. Rangsetter still has to pit. We're looking at April. What happened to April here?
I'm sure Fury April passed Rangsetter earlier. So
I believe there was contact in as well. I believe there was contact earlier between the two of them, so that time it was absolutely clear, and they got it done. Meanwhile, Horton, who finally got past Moore, is now stuck behind Kamugli.
And it's great to see Kamugli on track and not invisible for this event.
Yeah, it's actually humorous. Last week, Kamugli couldn't figure out why everybody was hitting them and spinning them out. And we were showing that they were sitting in pit road. We were told by our race director and our broadcaster that wasn't the case, that they were actually making laps. It just didn't show up. One of those legendary age of the internet issues. And they retired, came back, which they're allowed to do, and it all reset and it was fine. And their comment was very, very humorous, Kamugli, of like, well, it's great not getting hit on every corner by somebody. And Kamugli at one point almost was taking it personal. They said they thought, they was wondering why everybody hated them.
Yeah, they were saying that cars were hitting her, and she was changing like direction and getting fired off the track, but the cars that hit her were just carrying on literally like she wasn't there because none of them could see her. So it was a weird.
Oh, Horton with a dive! Horton with a dive is going to go wide. Oh, and that didn't come off. That's an excellent effort. An A for effort, but an F for execution. And Horton still. Oh, we went back to the picture. We'll be right back after these messages. And now back to live pictures. Back to live pictures. I don't know what Stewie just said in German, but it's not a word I can repeat on the internet. All the work to do. Lost a bit of time there, did Horton. That move just did not come off. You got to be going so slow for that left-hander. Very deceptive how slow, because it turns in on itself, though it doesn't necessarily look like it, and it's unforgiving. There's only really one lane through there. But challenge reignited for the final spot inside the top 10. Love to see a Nissan in a competitive position up in the top 10. Very nice indeed by the only GTR in the field. So Schmidt leads Bokita by 11.7 seconds, the gap the last time by. I said that'd be somewhere around 15 seconds. So I wasn't that far off, but also I did that math about 10 minutes ago. So Bokita, what I can deduce is Bokita is catching Schmidt, but there's just not enough time. 2 minutes in the race. This battle for the final top 10 spot is the furthest battle up the field at the moment.
Well, Horton's got the inside now. Ooh, it's close. It's fair, but it's
that's
close.
a touch. That was a touch. That was a touch. Oh, and a wiggle. A touch and a wiggle and a drift. And Horton backs off.
Yep. Very sportsmanlike. As we come to a different replay. A little replay I thought we might cut to. What happens here? Oh, what? Ah, was that Johnson trying to let Gobi pass, but completely caught Gobi by surprise?
Give it all you can.
I would say, Nate, that's very, very possible. Charlie Martin here. Is there more contact? Yes, there is. Oh, no. Charlie Martin on the inside makes contact and goes around again. Charlie Martin is not ever going to want to race ACC again after the season that they've been having. As Schmidt is on the final lap, by the way. And here they are, the Team Fordzilla 74. Schmidt has been patient and consistent this season, but you have to admit they have played second fiddle to the battle between Bokita and Rose. Well, today again, just like last week, the battle with the top two came to blows, and today was incredibly devastating for both drivers. Bokita, self-inflicted on-track penalty to let Rose go back through, and that handed the lead to Schmidt. The gap just a bit too much for Bokita to make up in such a short span of time. Classy move by Filippo Bokita, you have to say, but it will cost them a win here today. But for Schmidt, we talked about earlier in the race, patience is a virtue and consistency is key. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today, consistency is going to land Schmidt in victory lane. A win for Team Fordzilla in the 74. Aston Martin gets it done. Well done indeed. Bokita comes home 9 seconds adrift in second, was catching by a ton. And for Gobi, it's going to be a podium. A well-deserved podium. Very consistent. And for Gobi, I think that will be their first podium as they come across the line in the number 21 McLaren getting it done. Sarah Dove was not very far behind Gobi, I've just noticed. Sarah Dove comes home in fourth place. And behind them, you got to give it to Fox. One of the two new drivers in silver, been bumped up a class. What do you do on your debut? Well, you go out and win silver in the 202 Audi. Taylor finishes second in silver. And for Fury April, it is going to continue a dominating affair. I think they've won every round this far. Round 4 again goes to Fury April in the 717 AMG. Natalie Lee is going to take home the third place in silver. Kamugli and Horton are still battling coming to the line. And there they go. Kamugli is able to hold off Horton. Kamugli will get 9th, Horton 10th. And that was your top 10. Well, here are the results confirmed. Schmidt wins over Bokita and Gobi, your podium. And then Dove in fourth place. Fox wins in silver over Taylor. Natalie Lee will be the third place in silver. Fury April continues to dominate the AM class and wins with Reina. And I actually don't know who finished third there, but results confirmed regardless. Everybody, if you would like to know who finished outside the top 10 due to the results moving around, you can indeed go to the website and check the final timings. But those were your podium positions. Well, Nate, it was close quarters racing. It was punt to pass, and it was door handle to door handle. And in the case of one, number 11 Lexus, it was the Duke boys are at it again. And I think this picture pretty much sums up the day. Damage on the front of a Bentley, cars going airborne, and a crazy round. Rose retiring, Bokita the big winner of the day, despite the fact that they lost the race. Schmidt getting a well-deserved win. April continuing to dominate. The 202 newly silver driver getting the win, showing that they belong in that class. A lot to digest.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot to unpack from that. I'm sure a lot of the races will go back, save the replay, and just revisit what they did, what they could have done better. And I'm sure there'll be a fair amount of protests coming, to the stewards and to penalty points to other drivers. But other than that, like you said, it was action packed. There was a lot of action on the track, a fair few unfortunates off the track. But in the end, most of the cars made it home. And once everyone had sort of settled down a little bit, apart from the Bentleys with their weird breaks into the hairpin, we got some fantastic racing.
Well, on behalf of everybody here at RCI, we'd like to invite you to join us for the Friday GT World Championship. Ryan Gill and myself in the booth for that one. We hope that you'll join us with a like and subscribe. Don't miss a single race. And of course, Saturday, the return of Night Owl after a 1 week hiatus. And of course, this Sunday, a very special event presented by Jardier and Jimmy Broadbent. That's right, Borg Wenkelborg himself and Jards. And folks, well, you got to be there for that. I'm going to be there for the basically the entirety of that event. And I will absolutely be glued to the screen. Jardier and Jimmy teaming up in Minty, pictured here, in fact. Again, I interviewed Jardier last year, and Jimmy for that matter, too. And Jimmy was afraid that Jards would never want to race with him again, especially in the GTR, even though that's one of his favorite cars. Well, he somehow talked Jardier into doing it again. And when RCI was asked to host, we said, "Well, of course we will, because we love racing." Join us for that. Mark the date. That is starting at 800 hours UTC on the 28th. Please remember daylight savings time if you are in the UK and parts of Europe. And on behalf of everybody here at RCI and all of our partners, Race Department, AK Informatica, Race Face Speed Labs, and Sim Racing GP, thank you all for watching. We hope that you've enjoyed, and we hope to see you back Friday. On behalf of Jesse Lee, Nate, and Mr. Stewie himself, thank you and have a good night.